Hey, this is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show, and we're experimenting once again. Let me turn this fan off. Um, this morning, I got on my computer, and I wanted to find the program that actually had a database of the international broadcast stations that you could go down the database and select one. It's the EIBI database, which is a huge database of all the things that are on shortwave as far as international broadcasting. And it took me a while to figure out which program it was. And I started out that the last thing I had, let me turn this sound down. Stand by. I don't know if you were hearing that audio or not, but I definitely was hearing it. That was the audio from the SDR. And I started out this morning using the last program I had used, which was SDR Console version 2. And I looked in it and I didn't see any way of having a frequency database such as the EIBI database, which is a huge database listing of international broadcast. And it's updated quite often. So it's still being updated, unlike some other things. Well, that wasn't it. So I went to console, and console version 2 and 3 were working. They were working fine. So I went to Genesis, the Genesis software, which I was working, and I was getting this terrible feedback. Let me do a screen share here. Screen share here? Let me do a screen share here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Try to show you. And then I will that screen and minimize that screen and minimize that screen, and I didn't end up with the one I wanted. Okay, let's go back. This is the one I'm running now, HD SDR. I still kind of like this program because it's pretty easy to use once you get it running. So I went to this, and what I saw was this mammoth signal. It was maybe 20 kilohertz wide or something like that. And it was huge. And so I had this big orange yellow blah there on this waterfall screen. And the audio was like, whoa, 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 whoa. It just kept growing. And I'm like, that's the symptoms of feedback. Like you're in an auditorium and you're talking in a microphone, it's coming out some speakers, and the speakers get into the microphone, and eventually it just grows and grows and then creates this loud noise. Well, that's what this was doing. And I'm like, this was working the other day. Why is it broken? So I fooled it. I can't figure out what the heck is wrong. Well, I tried a couple other programs, such as the Fifi SDR program. That was still working, no problem. So SDR console was working, Fifi SDR was working, but HD SDR was not working. So let me reduce this for a second, and I'm going to show you my desktop. So here are the programs that at one point in time worked or made out of work. I've never gotten Rocky, which is software that came with the Fifi. I've never gotten that to work. I don't know what's wrong with that. I've never gotten SDR Uno working 100%. If I tune with another program and I go to SDR Uno, I can hear that station, but I can't seem to tune it. And it keeps telling me I have a missing DLL. So I've never gotten that working. Genesis I've gotten working. I've gotten HD SDR 27. And right now I'm going to move this down here because This is the programs kind of for the Fifi SDR. SDR Sharp, I've never gotten working with this Fifi SDR. So I went back to HD SDR, and I digress here for a minute. Was one of the other programs, I think it was Genesis. Yeah, it was Genesis. I went back to Genesis, and I don't want to open it. I went back to Genesis, and I started looking at the settings, and I found out that the settings for the input to the computer from the Fifi had changed. And so I changed it back to what it should be, which is Fifi SDR complex broadband or something like that. And Genesis started working. So I thought maybe that's what's wrong with HD SDR. So I went back to HD SDR and I selected the sound card option, and this had changed. When it got changed, I don't know, but it was set to microphone HD Pro webcam C92. And the output is the speaker. So what it had created is a feedback loop of the speaker output coming back into this software via the microphone. So I changed this back to complex baseband, that's what it is, baseband, Fifi SD, and now it's working. Now it's working. So these SDRs, you can end up with a Frankenstein. You got a piece of this, a piece of that, and then if you go run something else that affects the audio input to your computer or the speaker outputs or the output from your computer to speakers or whatever, it could affect these SDR programs because it's kind of a Windows overall thing. So I was giving up on this HD SDR, but it turns out now that I got it working again, I went to Frequency Manager, and sure enough, here are the options. Right now, I have selected EIBI, which is the International Broadcast Database, which is maintained on the internet. And it's a huge database. Matter of fact, it's really too big. I wish I had a way of cutting it down, or maybe there's a version, because it goes all the way down to the long wave band. This is 16.4 kilohertz. So this is a huge database. But it does give me the option. I can go try some long wave frequencies and direct tune them using this. You go down here and you select the frequency. If I can find one, China radio at 9645, and you double click on it and it tunes the radio to that automatically. That's the beauty of it. That's what I like about this. It has that database. And it also has the ham bands. Here's the ham bands. You just select one, boom, goes to it. And it also, not only the frequency, but the mode, USB in this case, and and HF frequencies. And then when you get above that in the VH, if it switches to FM. Then you've got radio bands you can choose to. This is the international broadcast bands. And then you can have your user defined, which you add to the database. So this is the program I was looking for, which was HD SDR. Now, the other thing that I noticed this morning, because I was switching between these various programs, is that there is a significant increase in the reception or the sensitivity of the SDR that I'm using, the Fifi, depending on the program I use. When I go to HD SDR, and I've got it working with the Fifi, I see at least a 25 to 40% increase in the signal level and decrease somewhat in the noise level. So this program, the interface to it and however it's set up with all its many options, seems ideal for this SDR. Now, I've heard other people using other SDRs say that the HD SDR seems to be more sensitive to the SDR that's in use versus some other program, such as SDR Sharp. Again, there's 1,000 settings you can set, and possibly this one, the default on this one gets it right. So that's kind of what I want to show you, that, boy, you really have to be patient with these SDRs and the software that works with them, because there's a lot of differences. They interact with other programs. I think what was happening is when I was using my webcam, which I have options for what input device for the audio to use and other things, that's when I could have changed it to my microphone. There's other programs. Now, the reason this morning that I'm doing a Hangout instead of just doing a local recording is that when I had HD SDR running like it is right now, and I tried to use my screen capture software, it messed up and created all kinds of noise in SDR, in HD SDR. So there's an interaction there. So I said, well, I'll just go do a Hangout and record it that way. So you can easily go into your lab and create monsters with these SDRs and the software that is associated with them and the software associated with other things on your computer. So that's what I want to show you this morning. I got the one that I wanted to work. I may have broken another one now, another program, software program. Just for grins, let me close this and I will open up SDR console version 2 is the one I was using yesterday. Let me open up and see if it's broken. Okay, I'll start it. No, it's working fine. Okay, let's close that down. So now I've got, well, let's really go into the laboratory mode and try Genesis now. I've got it down here so I can directly open it and see if it's still working. Now, maybe these 3 programs are not causing the problem. Maybe it's other programs, such as my webcam software and my screen capture software. So let's turn the power on. Yep, that's working. This program too, let me turn the power off of the Genesis. This program also was, let me turn this back on because I can show you visually, and I'll turn the volume down. Okay, this program was doing the same thing. I had this huge spike, and it was, as it got into the program, it was growing and growing and growing, and then the audio was like this monster feedback. So he was doing the same thing. So right now, I've got at least 3 of the programs working properly with the Genesis. So the Frankenstein is now alive and active. And I still know how to get SDR Uno working. The Radio Jet software that came with the FIFO, that still works. That's always seemed to work, no matter what I screw up. I never have gotten Rocky working, which is another program that came with the Fifi. And I've gotten both version 2 of SDR console and version 3 working with the Fifi. So anyway, Where are we at here? Somewhere. Ah, here we are. Okay, let's turn off screen sharing. And we'll go back to our webcam. And you can see I've been frantically taking notes to write all this thing down. I've been trying to write also at the same time, write myself a procedure of how to do a Hangout live. There's a lot of options with that. And if you go down the wrong path, you'll end up with garbage for a Hangout. So I think I got it going. Just you have to have a lot of patience when you're working with these SDRs and the software that you can use with it. And some of the software may look like may make the SDR look like it's not working correctly, but you just got to get the right configuration. So anyway, this is the 949th show, if it doesn't crash on me. So that means the next show will be 950, and at 950, 960, 70, 80, 90, 1000, we're doing giveaways. So the next show, which should be show 950, that'll be a giveaway show, and we'll be giving away some books. So thanks for watching. Thanks for the 5 viewers that came online. I don't have my laptop set up so that I can see the chat window. So if you've sent me a chat comment or something, I'm sorry, I don't have that running. I really hadn't planned on doing this show as a Hangout on the air. So I just kind of jumped in here and says, well, let's try this. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for show 950, which will be a giveaway show. Bye-bye.